Welcome to Tales of War, a game of fantasy battles for two players. Welcome to the world where two kings wage war for the cross of eternity, the key to immortality. As the king's most trusted general, you will fight a series of battles, each of which will have a specific objective and will be fought on different terrain. After each encounter, your army will be reinforced with new, special units, and your heroes will learn new skills. Your goal is to find the Cross of Eternity and bring it back to your kingdom. If you find it and win the following battle, you win the campaign. Your army is represented by three kinds of units: Core, Special, and Hero. In between battles, all your units are stored in your army box. You only need to set it up once and won't have to do it again. Place 4 fire and 4 ice tiles together with the strategic point terrain tile, and all your special units in the right pocket of your army box. Put all other units in the left pocket. Do the same with the blue army box. Put all the terrain tiles in the terrain bag. Place 18 reward cards and the terrain bag on the left side of the board, and 18 objective cards on the right. You are ready to begin. In each battle, one of the players is the attacker. They go first. If this is your first game, choose the attacker. Otherwise, pass the attacker token to the player who wasn't the attacker in the last game. The attacker draws the objective card and shows it to the defender. The card shows victory conditions and the number of terrain tiles for each player. Each player secretly draws the number of terrain tiles based on what the objective card says. The attacker starts by placing 1 tile, and then the players alternate placing 2 tiles. Terrain tiles must be placed outside the deployment zones. Players open their army boxes and secretly pick units they'd like to take to battle. Pick one of the 3 heroes and 7 core units. After your first battle, you'll be able to choose up to 3 special units, if you have their reward cards. The attacker deploys their first unit, and then players alternate placing 2 each turn. Units must be placed in their respective deployment zones, and must directly face the enemy side. On their turn, a player selects one of their units, and either moves it or has it perform a ranged attack. Then, their turn finishes. Units can only move in the direction they are currently facing, which can mean orthogonally or diagonally. To face a direction, you have to turn 45 degrees. At the bottom of each unit tile, you will see 2 numbers: the unit's movement points and range. Movement points define how many squares a unit may move each turn. Moving 1 square forward costs 1 MP, and so does turning 45 degrees in a chosen direction. You can spend MP however you want, up to the available amount. Unused MP do not accumulate. Units cannot move through other units or impassable terrain. They have to move around them. Impassable terrain is marked with this symbol. All other terrain is passable, and units may enter it. When entering such terrain, a unit must stop its movement, and the player's turn ends. Terrain plays an important role in the game. All the terrain tiles and their effects are described at the end of this video. There are 2 main types of units: melee and ranged. They move the same but attack differently. Melee units have no range and attack by moving onto enemy tiles. Ranged units can only attack the enemy from distance. When a melee unit moves onto a tile occupied by an enemy unit, it eliminates it. The enemy unit is removed from the board. This is referred to as a charge. After the charge, the unit stops its movement. There are frontal, flank, and rear charges. The type of charge depends on the side from which the charging unit enters the target's position. Some units cannot be frontally attacked by others. For example, units equipped with spears cannot be frontally attacked by the cavalry. They may, however, be attacked from the flank or rear. All the core units and heroes are described in detail at the end of this video. Units with range cannot charge. Instead, they attack by targeting a unit within their range and line of fire. Range describes the number of squares away that the ranged attack may reach. All ranged attacks are performed in the direction shown by the directional arrow. The line of fire is a straight line. The targeted unit is eliminated. All units equipped with bows or crossbows belong to the category of flat-ranged units. They hit the first target in their line of fire and cannot shoot over other units or obstacles. Obstacles are marked with this symbol. All other ranged units are parabolic. They can shoot over other units and obstacles. When shooting over an obstacle, deduct 1 from your unit's range for each obstacle between it and its target. For example, the catapult has a range of 6, and there are 2 obstacles between it and the spearman. The effective range of the catapult is 4. That's not enough to reach the spearman. In each battle, each player has a limited pool of 4 fire and 4 ice tiles. Some units use them to perform their attacks. Once your pool is depleted, you won't be able to use any additional fire or ice tiles until the next battle. Most parabolic ranged units have a fire or ice symbol on their illustrations. This means they must place either a fire or an ice tile on the square they target with their attack. The tile stays on the board permanently until it is targeted by the opposite element. For example, ice tiles melt when targeted by fire, and fire is doused when targeted with ice. Remove both tiles and place them together with eliminated units on the right side of the board. You may target occupied and unoccupied tiles alike. Here, for example, the fire sorceresses have used the fire to block the enemy cavalry to prevent it from charging their supply wagon. Any unit entering an ice tile must immediately stop its movement, and its turn ends. If a terrain tile is targeted by fire or ice, place the tile in the middle of the terrain tile to reflect that the terrain has now become frozen or burning. Any unit that was on the terrain tile that has just become frozen or burning must escape the tile in their next move. If it doesn't, the unit is immediately eliminated. Escaping units may not attack in any way. Burning terrain tiles can be doused, and frozen ones can be melted. A unit may not use fire or ice attacks if the target unit is on the same terrain tile as them. A unit in the forest cannot be attacked in any way by anyone outside the same forest tile. To target units outside of a forest tile, ranged units must be standing on its edge. It is impossible to shoot from deep within the forest. Ranged units standing on a hill tile receive a bonus of +1 range. Flat-ranged units may pick whether they want to target the first or the second enemy unit in their line of fire. A unit that starts on a hill tile and exits the tile on the same turn gets +1 MP. A hill is an obstacle and provides cover from flat-ranged attacks, unless the unit is standing on its edge. A unit starting its turn on a swamp tile has its movement points reduced to 1. Swamps are impassable for cavalry, supply wagons, and catapults. If a swamp gets frozen, it acts like an ice tile and becomes passable. If targeted by fire, it melts, and any units that wouldn't normally be able to cross swamps are immediately eliminated. If a lake gets frozen, it acts like an ice tile and becomes passable. If targeted by fire, it melts, and any units on it drown and are immediately eliminated. To destroy a building, target it with a catapult and remove it from the board. To burn a building, target it with a unit that leaves behind fire tiles and place such a tile in the middle of the building. Remove the burning building at the beginning of your next turn. Vampires must stay at least 1 square distance away from the monastery at all times. As soon as they come too close, they are immediately eliminated. The strategic point tile is only used in some objectives. It cannot be frozen or set on fire. Cavalry may move 1 extra square if all their movement this turn is in a straight line. This bonus may stack with other bonuses. For example, when the unit starts its movement on a hill tile, cavalry cannot frontally charge any unit equipped with spears. It also cannot enter swamps. Units with shields, for example, swordsman, cannot be targeted by flat-ranged attacks from the front. Instead of using its normal attack, the catapult can fire a projectile which works like its normal attack, but creates a fire tile. Instead of a normal move, catapults can move one square backwards, provided the square is unoccupied by another unit. Catapults cannot enter swamp or forest tiles. A supply wagon is a non-military unit that cannot charge. It's only used in some objectives, and you cannot field it unless you're playing them. Supply wagons cannot enter swamps. There are 3 heroes, and each of them starts with a set of unique skills. As the game progresses, the players receive reward cards. Your heroes can learn new skills. In this section, we will discuss the skills available for all 3 heroes from the start of the game. The Paladin cannot be targeted by magic and flat-ranged attacks from the front. He can also charge the giant frontally, but cannot be frontally charged by the giant himself. Vampires must stay at least 1 square distance away from the Paladin at all times. Otherwise, they are immediately eliminated. Instead of a normal move, the Ranger can move 1 square sideways, provided the target square is unoccupied by another unit. At the beginning of the game, the Archmage can only use ice magic. When he learns the Master of Fire Magic skill, he gains access to fire magic as well. Replace his tile with the one shown. Instead of a normal move, the Archmage can move 1 square backwards, provided the square is unoccupied by another unit. When the battle is over, the post-battle phase starts. If you've lost any special units, return their reward cards to the pile on the left and shuffle it. If you've eliminated the enemy hero, take a random reward card from your opponent and keep it. If both players' heroes have been eliminated, nothing happens. The winner draws 2 reward cards and reveals them. They then choose one and discard the other. Shuffle the deck. The loser only draws 1 reward card. Player-owned reward cards are displayed face up on their side of the board at all stages of the game, so that both players can see them. Return the objective card to the deck and shuffle it. You can save campaign progress for the next session, or play again. If you wish to save campaign progress, put all your units, fire and ice tiles, and reward cards into your army box. If you were the attacker in your last battle, put the attacker token into your army box as well. Tales of War can be played in a variety of modes. Check the rulebook for more details.